this place real? That depends. If real is what you can feel, smell, taste, and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain. Pikachu, I have in my hand 2 pills. You take the blue pill, and the story ends now. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the Diglett hole goes. But be warned, dive too deep, and you may never return.
David Mills is saying a few things in the comment box that I think are really good to mention. You know, he says here, man, some color parallels don't make any sense. The cards just look ugly. And I think I absolutely 100% agree with this. And sometimes I feel like it also is going to affect the I don't know, like the mindset, the collector's desire to continue to chase down certain sets and certain products. If there's only a few cards that you actually really like, because the art of a card, the look of a card is important to a collector. You know, when I'm looking at my favorite players, like a good serial number or whatever, like, you know, a nice auto, like those are all nice. But if I look at a card and it doesn't like appeal to me visually, I'm probably not going to want to keep it. Like, I want something I can like display. So I feel like there's that some of those color parallels are just so ugly.
That's true. Yeah, I there's certain ones. Yeah, that's very true. There's some color parallels. And it's just so many. It's like all these stripes, these tiger stripes that look weird.
So weird. So many of them. There's only a handful that actually, like for me at least, like actually really look visually appealing. There's a few. Every once in a while I'll see one and I'm just like, whoa, that looks cool. I saw like I don't know, maybe this isn't everybody's, but the Black Velocity, the optic Black Velocity, I just happened to see one for sale on an auction earlier this evening, and I had never really paid much attention to it before. And I was like, that's cool. I mean, I could see, I'm probably not going to go chasing it myself, but I could see why somebody would like that one and would choose to, you know, try to make a small set of their favorite players in that or something like that. But there's so few that are like that. And most of them they end up looking like just similar to all the other ones. You know?
True.
That's crazy.
Just a different shade of color.
And then he went on to say, Chris, that's right. Cheap sets for kids, medium and high end for bigger fish, and make them look good. All of them. I think that's a good approach. I think they try that a little bit, like with Chronicles. You know, Chronicles is lower end, seems, you know, and it has a lot of the rookies, tons of rookies. So if you're just interested in the newer rookies in the league, you know, you can buy some for not very expensive, get some Chronicles, and you get a bunch of rookie cards of your favorite rookies. And some of them look really cool. Some of the Honors cards or Phoenix cards, like there's a handful of different sets in Chronicles that I think look fantastic. So I kind of like that product in that sense.
The one thing when it comes to like the mid tier and the high end, I don't really know what's the high end anymore. Just because it's like it used to be what National Treasures, Flawless, and Immaculate. But that's kind of changed recently. And then there's certain
especially with National Treasures, every patch they're not game used or game worn anymore. I would think that for a product like National Treasures, at least for those high end products, the patches should be game used, at least in those sets. They're not.
That's crazy. That's really crazy.
Crazy.
So yeah, it's one of those things, and you're paying so much money for National Treasures, where I hope people aren't paying $6,000 for a box of National Treasures anymore. But you're paying probably at least 4 figures for National Treasures, and you're not getting that many cards. So it's like,
yeah. I know, and on the secondhand market, you know, I've bought in a handful of Mobley and Scotty Barnes patch cards out of National Treasures and Noir over the past month or so, and the prices I'm getting on them are sometimes, I mean, of course my context is different, but the prices I'm getting on them don't seem like National Treasures. I mean, like an Evan Mobley, you know, double patch auto out of 99, which of course is not game used, I'm getting for like $25. It just doesn't seem right for a guy like that coming out of National Treasures.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where there's other stuff, right? You mentioned Noir. I was like, I forgot about Noir. I actually liked a lot of their autographs and some of the designs for Noir.
I like
I
the
remember
look. I've always liked the look.
They had Opulence. I remember I had some Opulence cards, but they discontinued that. And then there's some other sets. Then there's like mid-tier stuff where you have the Panini Prism, Optic. You have Select, which people are acting like is basically turning low end, and then you have like Contenders autos, and you got other kind of prisms where you have like the cracked ice kind of prisms, or the disco prisms. Like you just have all this stuff, and then there's probably some other ones that aren't coming to mind. I'm just like saying the main hits, but like there's so many other stuff where Impeccable, and that was kind of around before the big sports cards thing, but people didn't go after that stuff like that. People just went after maybe Prism and then Optic, and then everything else kind of went up barely or went down barely. Oh, Eminence.
So what would you
I remember
say?
Eminence.
So based on that, what would you even call, like, what are the high end products? I mean, David asked this question as well here, directed at you. If NT isn't necessarily a high end product anymore, despite the fact that it's extremely expensive, what would you consider some of the true high end product nowadays?
Eminence is supposed to be a high end product. See, the thing with the high end products, the cards are generally much thicker. And just because like the design of the card is more robust, most of the time, I personally like Immaculate, especially for basketball, better than anything personally. There's certain flawless stuff that's nice, but it's supposed to look very nice. It's thicker cards. You normally have the auto or memorabilia in it, and it should typically be game worn, and it should typically be on card. And you have other stuff like Eminence. Like I remember for soccer, because I had a Christian Pulisic Eminence out of 1 out of 5 card with like Clint Dempsey and Alex Morgan and another one, like the top U.S. male and female players from the past and present. And that didn't catch as much money. One, because I guess it's hard to grade, but something like that's like limited, like a limited run, and have those features of on-card autograph, patches of game-worn jerseys, and they don't make a lot of. And you buy a box, you buy a hobby box, and you get a smaller set of cards in a sense, because that kind of improves the rarity. And I don't think you need to, for both collecting or investing, you don't necessarily have to do the high end. Like you obviously can do mid-tier stuff, but I guess it's kind of like there could be high-end stuff that sells for cheap just because people don't understand or don't want to do the work. Because I mean, I guess it'd still be National Treasures, Flawless, and Immaculate, and then Eminence I believe they stopped making it. And then there's some stuff that's just going to get lost. Like 10 years from now, people won't know what Opulence is.
Yeah. And some stuff I think is kind of like they're shooting themselves in the foot a little bit. Like we were saying with National Treasures, like National Treasures has this reputation, but then I feel like, this year, without game use patches, like I just feel like they're cheapening it a little bit, which, we've seen in the past. Like somebody else mentioned in here, Hobby Champs here mentioned about how Select, Select used to be like this really premium set. And when you look at some of the cards from earlier years of Select, like there's a beauty about them. Like just the design is really nice. The feel of the card is really premium. Everything about it is really nice. And then, you get up to the more recent stuff and the extreme amount of color parallels they have, and with them having the different levels, like the Concourse, the Premier, all of those, and then each of those levels having their own color parallels. It's just like it's gone off the deep end, and it's no longer has that feel or that connection that it had in the earlier years. I worry that the same thing might be happening to National Treasures like right now. Like, you know, give it another couple of years, and are you going to be able to buy like a National Treasures blaster box at your local Walmart or something? Like, it totally seems possible.
Yeah, I think, and also what they're trying to cover up with this is, and this probably goes into like how do you like find a way to thrive despite these monopolies? Because it's not like, you know, Fanatics is taking over Tops, and they're probably going to take over Panini soon. So it's like, yeah, they have incentive to sell cards, but they're probably going to do things that's going to hurt the secondary market. And they're probably going to kind of try to cover their butts with a lot of chase cards. And then you have this one crazy chase card or a couple of crazy chase cards where, you know, you got the triple logo man or something that sells for $100K, $1 million or something. But like most people know, like it's probably a waste of time even to try to chase that. Like you don't really have a real chance.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't like it when products are organized in that way, because then I feel like it's specifically trying to nurture a gambler's mentality, which I don't think is a healthy mindset when you're coming to cards. You know, like when I want to have chase cards, but I also want to be able to open a pack and feel confident that I'm gonna get something I like. There's gonna be some good stuff in there. You know, even if I don't make my money back, at least I know I'm gonna have some stuff in there. You know, sometimes I feel like with too much of just like a logo man chase card or something like that, like I don't know, like it's like scratch off lottery ticket kind of approach to the hobby, which isn't my it's not what I'm interested in.
I'm not a fan either. I would say there's a lot of people in the hobby, especially if they're on like more on the investment side. They probably have some kind of gambling background. And I think a lot of these companies know this and they want to leverage that because they're willing to spend big money on stuff. That's part of the reason why you see a Trey Lance card sells for hundreds of thousands of dollars, despite the fact he's done nothing. Like he's literally done nothing. I think he started one game or something. I think he lost or 2 games. He lost those games. So it's one of those things. I don't even remember if Justin Herbert's gone to the playoffs yet. I don't really remember, or even won a playoff game, and he has cards that are selling for $1 million. I don't know how many Peyton Manning cards are sold for $1 million, but he has 2 Super Bowls and like 5 MVPs, and many people consider him top.
And his cards are printed less as well, so it's a little bit illogical.
Yeah,
it's just
and I understand like Justin Herbert, for example, is his cards are nicer, and people may want to spend a little bit more, but it's one of those things where I think a lot of people who are gamblers, for whatever reason, and I do think investing can be good and it'd be a positive thing, but people who are like, you know, investing big money, but they don't want to invest, I don't know, stock market or real estate or just any kind of traditional anything, 401k, IRA, whatever. And then they just do everything in sports cards and collectibles. Just because I don't know. It's just one of those things where they're gamblers and they're like, oh, I don't want to get regular returns or 10% every year or something like that on average. I want to go to the big thing. I want to go 0 to 100. I want to go from, I mentioned the 1987 Michael Jordan Fleer PSA 10. I want to go from $1,000 to 82,000 or 60,000 or something like that.
Yeah. I guess it has been a kind of mindset that's been nurtured in the hobby over the past few years. Maybe it wasn't always there. You know, I think in the past, people have always, you know, the value of cards has always been part of the hobby, you know, from the time of Beckett Grading Company. But it's always been like this gradual, like you're kind of watching, you know, you're paying attention to the games, you're seeing who's doing well, you're seeing how it's moving cards a little up, a little down here and there. I think in the last few years, there's a totally different kind of mindset that's been nurtured, and now, you know, and the way that the products have been released have been a reflection of that kind of mindset, I feel.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's necessarily the mindset that's going to stick around in the hobby long term. So I feel like, you know, I'm curious what's Fanatics' approach is going to be in the future, if they're going to make some changes, and if I don't see much evidence that they're going to make the changes I'm hoping for, but who knows?
Well, what I would be hoping